everybody, and welcome to the 17th episode of Season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, KingNightAsp, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's up?
Oh, not too much. Same, I was waiting to see what name you were gonna say. You had a little dramatic pause in there. I like the theater.
I was wondering if you were gonna think I would say Richie Cheese again. I did not.
I didn't know what to expect. I never do.
Oh well, I just went with the normal this time. So there you go.
Well,
What's
I
up,
appreciate it. Yeah, the season. Gosh, man, we were blowing through this season. We're week 9. It's done, so we're literally halfway done. It's nuts.
That is insane. That we can be that close to the end of the season already. I hate that.
I know. Football season always seems to fly by way too fast.
Right? And baseball never seems to fly by fast. And if your team makes it to the playoffs, it feels like they played almost the entire year. Football, definitely not like that. It's crazy. So, all right. Well, we got a big week. Big week of interesting stuff happening as far as the news goes. There's a couple things I'm really interested in. But before we get to the news, we're going to start with our top 5 like we always do. And this week, what is the top 5?
This week, top 5, I went with 5 teams that need a new quarterback in 2024. And the reason I do this is because on Sunday, when Tommy DeVito starts for the Giants, he will be the 10th rookie to start a game this season, which is an all-time record in the NFL. The previous record was 9.
Was that
so?
Last
It just
year?
seems like there's a lot of teams that, I mean, some of the rookies that are starting are solid, but there's just a whole bunch of teams that need quarterbacks.
You're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even recognize that name from college. Like, it's crazy.
The funny thing is, I recognize the name as probably like a throwaway. I couldn't tell you where he went, but like Tommy DeVito is such a unique name. It's so New York. Like,
is he related to Danny?
He is. He's Danny's great-great-grandson.
Is he? What? Oh, I thought you were serious for a second.
Physically
I'm like,
be possible.
Danny DeVito is not that old.
Yes, Danny DeVito was born in 1854.
Just figure, with names like DeVito, you start to wonder if they're related somehow. That's not a very common last name.
Yeah, I have no idea. We can always look, but I feel like I would have heard that on Twitter at some point if he was.
Someone would have to have said something. How tall is he? That's how you tell.
He is 6'2".
How tall is Danny DeVito? Like,
I think he's 6'1".
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
I'm like, there.
Boy,
no
every
way.
joke is just going over your head.
I'm like, what is this man smoking?
I don't see anything about him being related to Danny DeVito.
All right. Well, I don't want to say my picks until you've said your picks, because I think you went with probably some of the more common ones, and I went with what was left over. And if I go with mine,
I assumed we would have doubled up on at least one.
I didn't want to double up because there's so many of them. I went with what was left
true.
after you went. So we're going to do this top 5 with you doing yours, and then I'll do mine after yours with the reasoning for mine based on what you picked. How's that?
All right, that's fair. So I'll just start us off then. Number 1, the New York Jets. Their plan this season was to go with Aaron Rodgers. That didn't work out because he's 40 and broke himself. And Zach Wilson just doesn't look like a franchise quarterback. So, the next season,
which is why they got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they gave up on him before this year started, and now they're stuck with him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's just, he's like Sam Darnold. He was the wrong choice. Probably, in a different team, different situation, maybe he can develop a little bit, but The Jets are wasting a very good defense and some very talented offensive players trotting out Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he's definitely he's got backup energy for sure. He can come into a game and be competent, but he's not a starting quarterback.
No, not at this point.
No.
Number 2, the other New York team, the Giants. Even though they paid Daniel Jones a bunch of money just this offseason after one good season, he came crashing back down to earth, got hurt a bunch, and now he's out for the year. And they're going to have such a high draft pick that they really have to take one of those great quarterbacks next year.
Yeah. This is one of those buyer's remorse situations, like instantly. And it's funny too because everybody knew it but them somehow, that paying Daniel Jones was a terrible idea. But they're like, we made the playoffs. He can't be that bad. Well, guess what? He is. And everybody knew it but you, and here you are in this situation. So they're either going to have a lot of dead cap, or they're going to have to find someone dumb enough to trade to take on that dead cap. So who knows what's going to happen.
Well, I did read that they can get out of his contract after next season for a much smaller cap hit. So they'll probably draft someone, start Daniel Jones the first couple weeks, then play the rookie, and then cut Daniel Jones after 2024.
So basically,
I don't think anyone's going to want to trade for him.
It'll look a lot like Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo last year. Where they're trying,
like Tennessee.
They're like, if we can get rid of Jimmy in the offseason, we really would like to. They couldn't, and then he was there for a season and actually played. Yeah. So, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they're gonna have such a high draft pick. They really need to use it. Number 3, New England Patriots, because Mac Jones ain't it.
Nope.
And I don't know if they're gonna have a new coach. There's a lot of talk about Belichick getting traded in the offseason. Who knows?
Even after an extension that he just got.
Well, and that's probably why they can't just outright fire him.
Yeah.
So they're going to hope somebody wants to trade picks for Belichick, which that'll be fun to watch. But, Mac Jones isn't the answer. I don't know. Mac Jones... I look at Zach Wilson and I think he could still develop. I look at Mac Jones and think this is all you're going to get. I have nothing from Mac Jones. So I think the Patriots need to do something.
Yep. I totally agree with that. They would definitely have been on my list.
Yeah. Number 4, the Atlanta Falcons. We saw it with Heineke. The offense is more exciting when you have a quarterback that's somewhat comparable. Or competent, I should say. They have, again, it's like the Jets. They have so much talent, especially on the offense, that they're wasting it not having a better quarterback. They're not going to have a high pick because somehow they keep winning games, but they definitely need to do something to take advantage of. They're going to have a new coach, too. I can't imagine Arthur Smith keeps his job after this, so... We'll see. But again, Kyle Pitts, Drake London's good. Bijan Robinson, just throw a quarterback in there.
You didn't even mention Tyler Algier. He's a beast.
Yeah, sure he is.
What do you mean, sure? He's in the top 15 running backs.
Yeah, because he just gets the ball
and runs.
Yeah,
he's good.
No one can do that. No one else can run. And then the last one, number 5.
Are you dogging at Tyler Algier right now because you have Bijan Robinson?
No, Tyler Algier is just a nameless backup running back. You could insert anyone into that position.
Well, hold on. Backup running back? You think Bijan's starting over to Algier? Maybe in name. Algier is the starter there. There's no question.
Sure. Okay,
what do you mean, sure?
Is he talented?
Who has more rushes? I didn't say he was more talented, but he is talented.
Is he more talented than anybody else that you could sign right now? James
Absolutely.
Robinson? Is Tyler Algier better than James Robinson?
100%. Or he would be signed.
Really?
1,000%.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
You seem to think Arthur Smith knows what he's doing and has some secret, Tyler Algier is a hidden gem running back. He's just a running back.
Okay.
Show me one play that Tyler Algier has done that you'd look at and say, "Oh, this is impressive. This is a star running back caliber." No.
I don't
And
watch the Falcons. What do you want from me? I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, exactly. Number 5, the Bears. Obviously, I mean, Badgett is a joke, and Fields. They have all the hype from the start of the season, the MVP hype. He couldn't get it done, and whether it's the coaching's bad, he's had multiple coaches. Again, maybe he goes and I actually like the idea of Fields going to the Falcons. I think that would be great. Maybe he does better there, but the Bears with Fields, they have one more year of him. You either draft somebody with the number 1 pick that they're going to have, or you say, no, we're going to sign Fields to an extension, and then they're in the Daniel Jones trap, where you pay the guy and then he, comes back down to earth or does nothing, and it's just it's a waste. They just need to jettison Fields and start over.
Let's see. What is Fields? 61%. And where does that sit? That's his completion percentage. 61% puts him 28th in the NFL. The guy can't pass. He's a one-trick pony. He ran last year. Now that they're trying to keep him in a pocket and pass, it's not working because he's not a passer. The problem with
when you watch the offense with Bagent, he's I mean, Bagent's not good, but the passing game is better because he actually gets the ball to the receivers.
Which makes
Fields, for all the
better.
athletic ability he has, you're right. He's not a passer. He's and you've given him every opportunity. Like my dad's a Bears fan, and my dad is the eternal optimist Bears fan, and he'll he wants Fields to be a superstar, but it just financially doesn't make sense to pass on a quarterback at number 1. And then you have either one more year of Fields as a last ditch effort, or you're going to extend him because they didn't give us 5th-year option and pay him for theoretical development that we have yet to see. They just need to. I don't like Caleb Williams personally. I don't want Caleb Williams to go to Chicago. I'd rather see Drake May. But they need to trade Fields for a 3rd maybe, and just draft somebody new.
I was going to say you don't want what happened to the Chargers with Eli Manning to happen to you, but the thing is, the Chargers didn't come out of it very bad because I don't know if you remember that trade because they got Phillip Rivers in that trade.
Yeah. Worked out pretty well for them.
Worked decently well for them. But the thing with Fields, right, comparable to, let's say, Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray can pass accurately. Lamar Jackson can pass accurately. If Kyler Murray comes back and he can't run anymore, he can still pass. The only problem is he's short, so he gets a lot of batted balls. But
he can pass when he's outside the pocket.
Yeah, he can actually hit his receivers. Justin Fields cannot, and that is where he will have his problems going forward in the NFL, getting other chances because Lamar Jackson could go anywhere and still be a good passer. Justin Fields doesn't have that, and so that's the problem for them. And paying him, hoping that he someday can become an accurate passer after this many years in the NFL, not to mention his high school, college careers, all of those things, it's just not looking good for him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Giants and the Seahawks. They paid Daniel Jones and Geno Smith a bunch of money after 1 year, and neither one of them is living up to it this year. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Chicago does, but if they're going to have 2 of the top 5 picks, one of them should be a quarterback.
No. Yeah, because in that case, you can still get a different need with a high pick while taking a quarterback. So
yeah, exactly.
It'll work out well.
Or trade down and get a bunch more picks.
I mean, look how well that worked out for the Texans so far this year.
Yeah.
They had 2 top 5 picks, right?
Yeah, because they traded back up to get number 3 and take Will Anderson.
Mm-hmm. So, working out well for them. So, we'll see what happens. Okay, so my list was put together after yours, and so I kind of went over some teams that should be in this conversation as well that maybe people aren't thinking about. And I've got a 6th one I'll mention at the end and see what you think. I didn't put it on the list because it's just so out there and outrageous, but we'll see what happens. Number 1, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. And that is because of the fact that A, Jimmy Garoppolo is old. B, he just got benched for a 5th round rookie in Adrian O'Connell? Aiden O'Connell. And so Aiden O'Connell looked good in the preseason. His 2 starts so far. This last one, a lot better than the first one. Not convincing with Aiden O'Connell. Unless he can set the world on fire for the rest of the season, the Raiders are definitely a team that is looking for a quarterback. As much as I'd like O'Connell to be awesome, because I have him on my dynasty team, I don't know that he will be. So we'll see what happens through the rest of the year for the Raiders, but they are definitely a team that is right there in that pack. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think the writing was kind of on the wall when they benched Garoppolo. I don't think they're going to see enough out of O'Connell. At least I haven't seen enough out of O'Connell to again, when they're going to have a top 10 pick, the drive to take a quarterback or trade up for a quarterback is going to be too high for a team that's going to have a new GM, new coach. They're going to want to make a splash, and yeah, I completely agree. They should.
Throw on top of that
Josh
things
Jacobs,
like
Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. There's so much talent that they're just wasting with that quarterback play.
Yeah, and you got to, and it's not like this is it's a little different because of the rounds that they were drafted in. But last year with the Titans, right? They drafted a quarterback. I think it was third round quarterback. Next year they draft Will Levis. Just seeing what they can get, because these late round quarterbacks don't always live up to what you hope they will be. And even when they play a bunch of games during the season, you can still replace them with other quarterbacks, right? So you might say the same type of similar situation that there is with the Titans with the Raiders, where they took Aiden O'Connell, but they'll take another guy next year just because O'Connell played well, but not well enough. And Malik Willis definitely did not play well. So there's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
My next team is the Los Angeles Rams, and this one was top of my mind just because of a recent signing. After completely dropping Brett Rippon after one start, they signed your favorite quarterback, Carson Wentz.
Oh, everybody's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is now a Los Angeles Ram because Matthew Stafford is old and has been hurt a lot recently, meaning a lot of backup Rams quarterbacks have had to play. John Wolford, Brett Rippon. There's a lot of different names that have been
John Wolford, former hotshot. Shout out.
Oh yeah. I wore my hotshot hat to work 2 days ago. No one knew what it was. I was very sad.
Oh, sad.
But yeah, the Rams need a young quarterback on their roster to go behind Stafford. Wentz getting paid again for nothing, basically. And after this year, the Rams should look to draft a quarterback. If not to start soon, when Stafford does retire, they're definitely going to need someone to step in, and Carson Wentz is not the guy. So that's why I got the Rams.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, I'm actually surprised that they signed him, because it really seems like they're in more of tank territory. So, why not just go with Brett Rippon? Why bother trying? But maybe Carson Wentz is a tank move, and they're just being very sly about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the Rams do decide to tank this year, this is the best year for it, unlike last year, because the Lions don't have all their first-round picks anymore. So
that's true.
They would actually get to use their pick this time.
Yeah, and again, it should be high, maybe top 5. So definitely need to take a quarterback. I just looked because I was curious at what Stafford's cap number would be if they decide to cut him, and there's no way they can. So either he would have to retire after this year, or he will definitely be there again next year. Yeah,
I mean, he played well until he got hurt, which is just the really sad to me because of him being. When I think of Iron Mans, and this is probably just because I'm a Lions fan, I think of Brett Favre, and I think of Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford started, I think, 500 games or something like that straight. 500. It wasn't 500.
Yeah.
Has he played 500 games?
For tough for a while.
How many seasons is 500 games? That can't be right.
That's probably like 40 seasons.
Yeah. What's the number?
I was gonna say that's it's not
I'm like, wait a minute, 500 is
baseball. Yeah. I'm actually looking up to see what the record is. Stafford is 7th all time. 136 regular season starts in a row.
That's what it was. Yeah, so he was.
You actually know who's number 2?
Who?
Phillip Rivers.
That doesn't surprise me because Phillip Rivers was never injured.
Yeah, that's pretty
that guy
impressive.
played
Phillip
a lot.
Rivers. 240 games in a row. Nice.
Who's 3?
Good for him. Eli Manning.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so
yeah, I agree. The Rams, they need someone to develop, and it's a good year to take when you never know when your pick's going to be that high again. So I actually think the Rams are a good candidate to trade up to number 1 to take Caleb Williams, keep him in LA. They love the star power. I think they'd make that move.
That would be interesting, and I would actually. That would be probably the best situation for him, especially with his dad being so weird. So,
I'll fit in with all the balls out there, Lorenzo and Lonzo and all them.
Yeah, exactly. The third team I have is the Green Bay Packers. Now, some might say, do you give up on Jordan Love after a single season? I would say I don't know if I would. But I will say this. It sounds like their general manager already has. So I don't know if you heard those comments from him of talking about he's not sure that Love is the long-term answer.
Yes,
like,
I did.
Well.
And I'm glad that he sees that because
keep starting him. I'd love for you guys to be bad for a while.
Yeah, well, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, Jordan Love, just everybody wanted to hype him as like he's just like Patrick Mahomes. No, he's not. And
not to mention, he's how long? What is this? Like his 7th season?
Gosh,
how long did he back up? I was drafted in 2020, so it's not a 7th season. Fourth season.
So I mean, did they extend him? Did they pick up his 5th-year option? They had to have, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. I would guess. He's 25 years old now. His completion percentage is worse than Fields. Just
wow.
saying.
Prior to the start of the season, the Packers declined his 5th-year option, but they signed him to a 2-year extension. Okay.
He has a 59.6% completion rating with a QBR of 42.9.
That is pretty bad.
Yeah. It's muy horrible.
Yeah. And again, Packers are another team that right now have the 7th overall pick. But got to take a quarterback. I mean, I agree. I don't think Jordan Love's the answer unless he suddenly breaks out in the second half of the season. I don't see it happening though.
Yeah, for sure.
He'll beat up on the Bears again at some point.
Yeah, probably. That'll bring his numbers up a little bit. Take the heat off. My number 4 team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who currently have Baker Mayfield, who does not have a great completion percentage, but he is not making mistakes. He's 12 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 1,800 yards, which is average, right in the middle for them. But he's keeping them afloat. They're 3-5, I think now. Yeah, 3-5.
Are they really?
The Buccaneers are going to be.
They were 3-0 to start the year, weren't they?
They might have been, but they've lost every game since the Lions beat them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they've lost 4 straight games, so they were 3-1, and then have lost 4. That's wow! I did not even realize that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to pile on to Baker, because if you watch that Houston Tampa Bay game last week, probably one of the best games of the season. It was amazing. Baker Mayfield brings them back scores a touchdown with 46 seconds left in the game, pretty much supposedly to win it, but you left someone 46 seconds and that was enough for them. So he's played well, but he's also, I don't know. I don't think he's their guy. So I think that Tampa Bay will be looking for a quarterback too. Maybe not a first rounder, but someone to draft and put behind Baker. We'll see. Last on my list.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll say real quick about Tampa Bay. I think that you're completely right. They need to think long term at quarterback. But I could also see the Bucs if Baker gets them to 500, maybe waiting another year, and hey, let's build around him, or a team like maybe they could be the ones to trade for Zach Wilson or something to try to develop. But I personally think that they should draft somebody in the first 2 or 3 rounds. But I don't know. They don't strike me as a team that's going to make a big move at quarterback. I don't know why.
They look
like,
to me they're a team.
I have no thought behind that. It's just
to me they're a team that's taken a 5th round quarterback to sit behind Baker next year. Because this year this is their 3 quarterbacks: Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, John Wolford. Yep. None of them are particularly.
Wolford's there.
Trask might be young, but it's Kyle Trask.
He is. He's not super young.
He's 25.
He's probably in his 3rd or 4th year. Yeah.
So he's only 3 years
Baker
younger
already
than Baker.
beat Trask out for the starting job this year, so I don't if Trask already had his shot this season and didn't win the job. I think that ship has sailed. So they should invest in a quarterback.
Yeah. So my final team on the list, this one edged out the surprising one that I was going to say, but that's the Minnesota Vikings. And the reason for that is Kirk Cousins is a unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. He's also hurt. And currently they have Josh Dobbs starting for them. Now, Josh Dobbs could be a competent starter, but Josh Dobbs is also regarded as a really good backup and not a starting quarterback. I could see the Vikings keeping Dobbs on a small contract and signing or drafting a quarterback and not re-signing Kirk Cousins. I think that would be smart because they would be putting a lot of money into an unrestricted free agent who just got hurt for the season.
Yeah, but the coach really seems to love him, and I think the players I don't know. I after he got hurt, the way the coach was talking about how he wants to keep him and all that, it's like they possibly could sign him to a short 2 or 3 year deal, but they should still be drafting one to develop behind him because he is 35. He is coming off a major injury. But yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting because if Cousins doesn't re-sign with them, he becomes a pretty attractive free agent to a team like the Jets or Tampa Bay that want to plug in a starter.
No.
Yeah.
Yep. And the one I left off my list.
Your 6th team?
Yes.
Is the 49ers?
It's not the 49ers.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go there. All right. Who is it?
It is the Carolina Panthers.
Oh.
I know they just took a quarterback with the number 1 pick, but I'm telling you, he does not look good, at all.
Terrible.
And I know that the reason I took it off the list is because it's so ridiculous that you would give up on the number 1 pick after 1 year. But the Cardinals gave up on the number 10 pick after 1 year.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have a pick in the top 5 in a draft with what's considered a better crop of quarterbacks, why not Somebody out there will want
Unfortunately,
Bryce Young.
the Panthers don't have a pick in the top 5.
Who'd they give their pickup for?
The Bears to trade up
so
to
the
number
Bears
1.
have it. Well, they can't even do it.
Yes.
Good thing I took that
Yeah,
off.
I know.
Off
That's
my
what
list.
makes it hilarious. Is that unlike the Cardinals, when they took Kyler Murray after taking Josh Rosen, the Panthers, who absolutely should be taking a new quarterback, can't because they don't pick until 34.
And I would like to just say this, like I said before, our before draft podcast. I didn't like Bryce Young before the draft simply because he's short, and he's showing that is not working for him. Far less so than it doesn't work for Kyler Murray. So I don't know what to say. Were the Cardinals better overall as a team when the Cardinals drafted Murray to put him into what he has than the Panthers are? Probably. But I don't know. It's weird. 5'10" just doesn't. It's hard to see that working in the NFL. I don't know.
And that's 5'10" is also what they say he is.
True.
It's like Murray. When you go to games live and you see Kyler Murray, it's honestly he looks like he's 5'7". Like I don't know, but yeah, I agree. The Panthers. I mean, they had a chance at C.J. Stroud and just completely whiffed. And I texted you guys on Sunday. It's going to be the Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning of it, where everyone's going to be like, wait a minute, C.J. Stroud didn't go number 1?
Yeah, no? Exactly. No, Bryce Young did. Who?
The answer to a trivia question 20 years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that was a fun top 5. Let's dive on into the news for this week because there were some pretty big stories. We talked about Daniel Jones now out for the season with a torn ACL. Cam Akers, another Achilles injury, so he's out for the season. I don't know if it's the same Achilles.
Cardinals fans with some very savage tweets about this, by the way.
About Cam Akers?
I can't remember who it was that what defensive player from the Cardinals it was that Cam Akers stood over while he was completely like, you know, when your body freezes from a like concussion?
Yes.
Yeah, Cam Akers standing over him after he ran him over. Yeah, so
I don't remember.
Cardinals fans a little savage to Cam Akers after his injury, after he did that to the Cardinals player, but yeah.
Oh, gotta love payback. But yeah, I gotta imagine Cam Akers is probably done for his career at this point. I can't imagine a team giving him a chance after 2 Achilles injuries. Dallas Goedert broke his forearm and is out 4 weeks. That hurts the Eagles, but they have plenty of weapons. Speaking of the Cardinals, Kyler Murray is looking like he will be back this week against the Falcons. They haven't officially announced it because they keep saying barring a setback in practice, but I'm pretty confident.
They're not starting 58 yards of offense Clayton Tune this week. There's no way.
I can't imagine they do. Yeah, so that would be.
Kyler Murray is coming back this weekend.
And James Conner actually has a chance to return on Sunday too, which would be fantastic to get both of them back in the same week.
Yep, I agree.
Will Levis named the official new starter in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill is healthy and will back him up for the rest of the season. Josh Dobbs named the official starter in Minnesota for the rest of the season, as of now. We talked about the Rams signing Carson Wentz. And then Martavius Bryant, there's a blast from the past.
Yeah, dude, I had to look him up trying to figure out how I knew that name. Because I'm like,
yes,
I know this name. Yeah. And he's had some really good seasons.
Yes.
But he hasn't played for 5 years. Leave it to the Cowboys.
I believe he was suspended for a while for gambling too. I think, or weed, one of the two. He was suspended for a while. But yeah, now he's on the Cowboys practice squad, which means it's only a matter of time before he catches a touchdown.
Exactly. Well, they're always looking for value wide receivers, so there you
go. He'll join the Brandon Cooks of lineup there and just who? The who lineup.
Meanwhile, Michael Gallup can't catch a pass to save his life.
I know. Heartbreaking. All right, so let's dive into our Week 9 review, starting with our Thursday Night Foreplay, which once again, we both did not get. I missed it by one. Will Levis, after throwing 3 or 4 touchdowns on Sunday, couldn't manage to throw one on Thursday. But Najee Harris, 25-plus yards. Derrick Henry, 50-plus yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 40-plus yards, all hits. So I continue to be just one away.
I was too. I was screwed on the first half, second half Steelers from halftime, because I think that the Titans were up at half by 3 points.
And did it happen right before the half too? Didn't they kick a field goal?
Yeah. No, they scored a touchdown. Because I can't remember. I think they kicked a field goal to tie it.
No, they kicked a field goal as time expired to go up by 3. So it would have been tied.
Yeah, either way I was screwed. It was just shocked at halftime. Pickens couldn't catch over 4 catches.
That's a tough one, man. That's the half split is a heartbreaker.
Well, yeah, it made the whole second half of the game like, well, I don't care. I've already lost.
Yeah, it's pointless now.
Yeah. Pickens couldn't catch over 3.5 receptions. I got the under of 50.5 points, and I got Najee Harris with 25-plus rushing yards because Najee Harris figured out how to run in this game and score touchdowns. So, yeah. I did not get it, and I don't foresee myself
George
getting
Pickens
this week's.
had 2 catches for -1 yard.
Yeah, it was bad. He had multiple catches that were out of bounds or negated by holding. That was wonderful.
He had a touchdown that was like he didn't drag his feet or something. Yeah, it was. He didn't care in the second half either. After your half split bet, he was like, I don't need to catch balls. His bets are
official receptions 2, actual receptions 5 or 6.
Yeah,
they didn't count. So,
yeah. All right. So week 9, Titans Steelers. The Steelers got the win. Like you mentioned, Najee Harris, got a touchdown. I mean, Jaylen Warren also looked pretty good too. The running game just looked good for the Steelers. Deontay Johnson got his first touchdown in like 3 years, so that's pretty cool.
Which is awesome because I've been starting him since he came off injury reserve, and he's been getting good punts until. Well, I mean, he was getting catches and yards. He just wasn't scoring, so that was the breakout game for me.
It was, yeah. He had a nice game. 7 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Heck yeah.
I like it.
Dolphins Chiefs, the Germany game. Not as much scoring as I had hoped, especially waking up that early to watch it.
It was a tale of 2 halves, that's for sure. The first half, the Chiefs were dominating. The second half, the Dolphins, no one was dominating. The Dolphins just happened to be able to score 2 touchdowns. And then the fourth quarter, nothing happened. That was a weird game.
Yeah, the Dolphins at the end of the game had a chance to come down and tie it, but the Dolphins just didn't look that good the whole game. I was disappointed, man. I wanted a shootout.
Me too, because I woke up early to watch a game. I'm like,
it's like I want to see touchdowns scored.
I woke up early. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. and I woke up early to watch that game, which meant that I was tired before work during the afternoon games. So I didn't watch those games, which were better off than that game, because I woke up to watch that game.
Yeah. Cowboys-Eagles ended up being way more exciting than this one.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Rams-Packers. I mean, the Packers won by 17, but that says more about the Rams than anything. I mean,
Brett Rippon, not employed anymore, being the starter for the Rams. You can just tell you exactly how that game went.
Yeah. I mean, even like the Packers didn't do anything overly amazing. Like Aaron Jones looked good for the first time since week 1.
Look at these numbers. Los Angeles receiving, the team that scored 3 points. Cooper Kupp, 7 targets, 2 receptions. Puka Nacua, 7 targets, 3 receptions. Tutu Atwell, 7 targets, 4 receptions for 13 yards. That tells me that Brett Rippon could not throw the ball anywhere near where his receivers could catch it. Because
Under
those three people
50%.
should be catching it.
Yep.
For that amount of targets. So
under 50% completion is pretty stinking terrible.
Mm-hmm. That was almost as bad as Clayton Tune. Only he had way more yards than Clayton Tune. Yeah. We'll get to that. That'll be fun. All right. Anyways.
Texans Bucks. We talked about this one. This was an exciting game, man.
Best game of the season by far of any game I've watched. That was it.
Yeah, that was freaking awesome. And CJ Stroud, man, that was an amazing performance for a rookie quarterback. Stroud didn't get the hype pre-draft that people like Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence did, but man, watching him, it's like this guy looks like he's a very gonna be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league in a couple of years. Like he looks awesome.
Ever since I saw that he was one of 2 people in the NFL without an interception, I've been watching him. He was available in our pay football league. I picked him up off free agency that week. Been very happy with that. I just love this guy. He is so fun to watch. It's part of me being a guy that pretty much exclusively roots for underdogs because I'm from Arizona. So, being an underdog guy.
Too. Is that close to Houston?
What's that?
Is El Paso close to Houston?
I mean, they're in the same state, but I mean, you could drive all day and still be in that state. But, yeah, when I was a little kid, obviously, I was all about Texas teams. So, I really like watching this guy play. He's fun to watch. He's got a good attitude. Watching him score, the smile on his face, the interactions with his teammates. He just looks like he's having fun on a team that's not supposed to be this good right now, yeah. and they're getting noticed for it, and people are talking good about the Texans for once. So it's a fun story that I've just been really enjoying this season.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome, and it's funny. Pre-season, we were talking about the Cardinals. Oh, they're going to have 2 top 5 picks because the Texans are going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, no, the Texans they're way ahead of schedule in a rebuild. It is, awesome coaching. They've got a bunch of great receivers. I want to see more Dameon Pierce. That's disappointing, but CJ Stroud looks like the first Ohio State quarterback I can remember who might actually be good.
But then you got the craziest part, right? Is then you look at their defense.
Yeah. And
what they've done with that defense over the last few years with Will Anderson, Denzel Perryman, Shaquille Griffin, Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie. Like they have a good defense to go with young players to go into the future with, along with those players they have on offense. Now, Tank Dell finally coming in to his own, showing up in that offense, scored the winning touchdown. Scored 2 touchdowns in that game, by the way.
He had a huge day.
But the last takeaway I have is like I said when we were talking about teams that need a quarterback, don't take away from Baker Mayfield on the other side, because he drove his team back to make the comeback to score a K. Dotton touchdown with 46 seconds left. And by all accounts, in most cases, that would have won the game for the Buccaneers. But on this day, Stroud was just better. It was just a crazy, crazy good game. So fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And who would have thought that the most exciting game of the season would be between the Bucs and Texans? Very shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
But, Commanders, Patriots. Commanders get a win. The Patriots are bad, so I'm not super over the moon about this win. It's a good, solid win. I'm glad that after trading away Sweat and Young, they could get the win, because everybody was just like, oh, they're done. They have no defensive line. It's like, no, we still have Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Thank you. And Sam Howell continues to develop. I'm holding out hope that he can lock up the job going into next year so that we don't need to make a move for a quarterback. If he can impress...
I only didn't put them on my list because I knew that you would want to argue about it.
Well, I can't say that Sam, if they ended up picking in the top 3 or 5 of the draft, take a quarterback. The problem is going to be we're going to end up with the 12th pick, and I'd hate for them to bundle up all those draft picks we just got to trade up for one. So if Sam Howell can look good enough for the new GM, then it just saves us a lot of hassle of having to start over.
Well, the good news is if Ron Rivera is there, you don't have to worry about them taking a quarterback because he never does.
No, he loves Sam Howell. And
Tyler Heineke is my guy.
Yep.
Tyler Heineke is my
Carson
guy.
Wentz.
Sam Howell's my guy. Carson Wentz.
The only quarterback he did not like was Haskins. It's the only one he absolutely hated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Howell, and again I have to keep reminding myself it's his 10th start. This is technically his rookie year, and he's cutting down the sacks, throwing a lot. And
what was it? I can't remember this game. It was it KJ Henry's his name, right?
Yes, the roughing the passer penalty he got.
Yeah, I was like, give this guy a break.
Yeah, it was.
What is that? The
Did
guy
you see
didn't
what
even
he
throw
said
the ball.
afterwards? KJ Henry afterwards, they interviewed him and he said, "I don't know what I did wrong, but my mom said I got to do better, so I guess I got to do better." I'm like, that's such a just a sweet thing to say. And I love the fact that his mom called him and the first thing she said was, "You got to do better."
Yeah, exactly. Mom's always motivating. But I was just mad because I'm like, okay, they got rid of Sweat, they got rid of Chase Young. These are the guys that need to step up. They do, and they don't get rewarded for it.
His first career sack would have also been a strip sack, and he doesn't even get credit for it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very frustrating. Hopefully they keep it up though. Hopefully it makes them hungry to get another one that counts. Because I do like him and Andre Jones, who is the other rookie they drafted. So it'd be nice if they could both develop into solid pieces. But yeah, I mean, for the Commanders, this season's all about what are we keeping past this season. And honestly, I like Howell and Bieniemy. I don't know how they can keep Bieniemy if they fire Rivera. Maybe they just promote Bieniemy. I don't know, but we'll see. And for the Patriots, we talked. Mac Jones, terrible. He needs to go bye-bye.
Yeah. No, that whole team is pretty
Bears,
bad.
Saints, this game was not as close as it looks. I watched this game, and I kept thinking to myself, how in the world is this game tied? It was tied most of the game. And it just felt like the Saints were just batting the Bears around, playing with them.
Yes, exactly, because they kept getting down to the red zone and doing something dumb. Yeah, how many? They had 2 lost fumbles. That was the Bears. It just always felt like the Saints were in the red zone and the Bears were doing nothing. At least the second half of that game, the Bears weren't doing anything. New Orleans always looked like they were in the red zone. That's from what I remember.
Badgett had either 3 fourth quarter turnovers for Badgett. It was bad. But I mean that's where the Bears are right now. They are a bad team. And the Saints, I mean, they just I haven't seen the Saints do anything this season that really impresses me. I mean, they're 5-4. But it's just one of those teams where I'm like, Derek Carr doesn't look that great. Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, none of them are they're not really having a season that blows me away.
No. And it's crazy. The fall off of Michael Thomas.
He disappeared in this game. Just absolutely disappeared.
1 target, no catch, and it's funny because when you read the fantasy outlook for Mike Thomas after the 8 targets to Olave, 5 to Kamara, 5 to Juwan Johnson, 5 to Taysom Hill, fantasy analysts believe that Mike Thomas's time is done of receiving those targets that he was before. So we'll see what happens.
After one game? Yeah.
Yeah, after one game. That's the part that was confusing to me because I'm like...
One down game
he was
and
at
everyone's like...
6 targets, 7 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets, 1 target, and then they're like, okay, Mike Thomas is done. Like, oh, well.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that it happened against the Bears. Like, everybody thought Michael Thomas was going to go off against Chicago. So... I don't know. It was a weird game for the Saints. They should have done so much more in that game.
Yep. Richie, come back. Stand by. Stand by. I don't even know if he knows he left the call. We'll get him back, folks. There he is.
Sorry, my Discord just completely shut down.
I was like, okay, bye, I guess.
I'm just done. I'm just logging off. I'm like, we're halfway through this podcast.
Finished. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. Anyways, Vikings, Falcons. So, Josh Dobbs coming in after like 3 days, getting the win. How awesome is that?
That was a real fun one to watch, too. And I remember me, you, and Dave were talking, and I was like, oh, Dobbs going to play. Let's see if he can show something. And you were like you did in Arizona or something. Your comment was like very anti-Dobbs. And then the next play, he gives up a safety. And I'm like, uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't have said he's going to do something. And then he goes off and leads the Vikings to a win. As much as I did not want to watch the Vikings win, I am a fan of Dobbs, so seeing what he did without even taking a practice rep on the field for the Vikings after he was traded for, to see him come into a game in a huddle where he didn't know their calls, didn't know their plays, didn't know the names of half the players, to be able to do what he did, it just felt really special as one of those things where you never see this happen. And every story I've heard about this week from Vikings players and the coaches about how on the sideline, all of the linemen were huddled around Dobbs, like every time the defense was on the field to tell him, hey, when we call this is the protection that we're going to do. So make sure you keep your eye here or this or that. Just middle of the game shit. Him figuring it out and still managing to do what he did. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, great showing by him. And I mean, again, for the Vikings, like I don't want them to go on a run because obviously I want the Lions to win the division. Mm-hmm. But it would be cool for Dobbs to be able to get that because he just continually bounced around to team, and even this season, it's like after. Unless he leads them to the playoffs and they decide to roll with him next year, like he could be on a new team next year too. So, nope.
Yeah, he deserves this time, this end of the year. Plus, when he gets Justin Jefferson back, like, hey man, let's see what he can do with, weapons like that.
What is his degree? I forget what his degree is. It's some
rocket scientist, I think. Like,
yeah, he is.
Something like that.
He worked as an intern with NASA, I believe. There was a NASA tweet about Josh Dobbs where NASA gave him a nickname. Did you hear about this?
I don't remember the nickname.
The Pastronaut?
That's what it was. Yes.
I'm like, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah,
he's just a smart dude. He may not have the arm talent, but a lot of the things that he does do are very, very good. So it's just fun to watch.
And he's mobile, too.
Yeah.
Very mobile.
It's crazy.
Cardinals, Browns, we talked about. Clayton Tune. They're complete. Now, to be fair, it was against the Browns defense, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL.
You are an NFL team. You have to get more than 58 yards of offense in a game.
Well, the Giants had -7 a couple weeks
ago. Passing yards. Yeah. They had rushing defense. Did they have lower yards than them that week?
Yes, yeah. When the
they had
Tommy DeVito first came in, I think that was week 8.
I'm going back to look because I didn't think an offense could get less than 58 yards in a game.
-9 passing yards.
Oh, that's passing. But what were their total yards as a team?
Oh, total yards. They had,
because this was not passing yards. This was the offensive yards total for the Cardinals. 58 in an entire game. So I'm looking at that Jets game, and the Giants had 194 yards in that game.
Oh, because the sacks. That's why. 7 sacks for -41 yards.
So, yeah, the Cardinals, as a offense in general, rushing and passing, had 58 yards. There was probably the most pathetic display of football that I've ever seen. And in a day where I'm like, Cardinals fans were all like, well, Clayton Tune can't be any worse than Josh Dobbs. Well, they traded Josh Dobbs, and now all you have is Clayton Tune. And they get 58 yards of offense in one of the worst offensive football games I've ever seen in football. And I am a Lions fan and a Cardinals fan, which will tell you that I have seen some very bad games. But that was one of the absolute worst.
That is a clear example of tanking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Seahawks, Ravens. Ravens blew them up. What was the final score? I'm on the wrong week now. But yeah, Seahawks are terrible.
I was just very passionate about that terrible loss. Yeah, the Ravens absolutely demolished the Seahawks, and this is the This is just. I just would like to throw this out there as a Lions fan. It has nothing to do with this game. Dave says that Dobbs is astrophysics. That makes sense.
Okay.
The Seahawks are the only team. Are they the only team? No, the Ravens were the other team. The Ravens and the Seahawks are the only teams to beat the Lions. The Ravens destroyed the Lions, but the Lions still managed to score, 16 points? Seahawks, who beat the Lions, gave up 37 points and could only score 3. So, I'm just saying, like I go back to with the Lions, because I like to defend my team, every team has a bad game. And today, that day, the Seahawks had a bad game. What's more impressive is the fact that the Cardinals kept it close with the Ravens, while the Seahawks and the Lions could not do anything.
Yeah, it's the parity in the NFL is so crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
Colts, Panthers. Boring game between two boring teams, but the Colts get a win because the Panthers are terrible and Bryce Young is terrible.
What was I just got distracted. What game were we on?
Colts, Panthers. Yeah, that's how boring that game is.
Oh God, yeah, that's terrible. The Colts won, right? Yeah,
Panthers. They did. Kenny Moore had 2 pick sixes, so that's a pretty cool stat. But not much to say out of this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Cowboys, Eagles. This one was exciting. Eagles get the win. Cowboys made it close at the end, trying to. I think they got tackled down at the 1. I think they got in after that, but yeah.
Put the air quotes on that one. Good. Put the air quotes on that one. He was tackled before the ball even got there, so of course he was down at the 1.
Yeah.
That game was.
Yeah.
I don't want to make excuse for Cowboys fans, but I will always make excuses when it's the referee's fault. I feel like they kind of got screwed there. But then the other thing I've said as a Lions fan for so long, you had, 60 minutes to not play like crap and to not leave it up to the referees? Maybe it is the referee's fault. But the fact of the matter is, if you hadn't given them a chance to be the ones to screw you, they couldn't do it. So, yeah, the ending of that game was kind of weird. Yeah, there were some questionable calls. But in the end, the team at home is usually going to be the one that gets the calls. So, Cowboys lost. Eagles won. Everyone's going to blame the referees if you're a Cowboys fan, but simply outbeaten for 60 minutes.
Yeah, it was. Dak looked the best I've seen him look in a while. But man, Tony Pollard has like disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. He started the season off well, but then since week 3 when they lost to the Cardinals, his high of rushing is 53 yards in a game, and he hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Like that's pretty bad.
Well, just going off the Cowboys offense, shout out to my buddy Raj from work, who's been listening over the past couple weeks now. But I decided to bring up the top 5 with him at work, and one of the first teams he mentioned needing a quarterback was the Cowboys. He's like, Dak is done. That guy's terrible. So you've got Tony Pollard not doing anything. You've got Dak Prescott, who has no one to throw through except CeeDee Lamb, and even then, still can't get it done.
Bryan soon.
Yeah, hey, after 5 years, that guy's got plenty of rest. He should be ready to go. But yeah, it's just funny because the Cowboys are just a mess. To be 5-3
Dak,
with so many question marks, it's crazy.
Dak is a free agent after 2024, and the Cowboys can save $34 million if they cut or trade him before March. So, always potential that he gets moved and we see Trey Lance next season.
Who's that red-headed backup they had? Is he still there?
Andy Dalton.
No, not Andy Dalton. That's not who I'm thinking
of. Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. There he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's odd. You know what?
They've got Trey
No,
Lance.
he's there. According to ESPN's depth chart, Cooper Rush is 2nd and Trey Lance is 3rd.
Oh, wow.
I would be, you know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. I would love to see Trey Lance play a game. Let's say Dak got the flu, because I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. But let's say Dak got a real bad case of the flu this week. I would love to see Trey Lance start for the Cowboys and see what happened.
Well, and they could always, if they're resting Dak in week 18, you might get to see Trey Lance.
True. We'll see what happens at the end of the season.
Giants, Raiders. Raiders get a huge win after firing Josh McDaniels and their GM. The players responded well. 30-6. Josh Jacobs monster game. That was good to see for the Raiders. Just they look like they woke up after they got rid of Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, and Aiden O'Connell had a decent game. He just didn't throw any interceptions, so that's a good start. Because he had a few of those as first start and some fumbles. He didn't have any turnovers in this game. 16-25 is decent, 200 yards. But that rushing game with Jacobs, almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and everybody he was throwing to did their job, and they were able to win the game. 8 sacks from their defense. Antonio Pierce, a linebacker turned coach, inspiring that defense. And Max Crosby, I don't know where he came from, but he is an absolute monster. He is insane. That guy he's fun to watch. He reminds me of back in the day, just how big of a nuisance, and I'm blanking on his name right now, the Vikings defensive end.
Jared Allen.
Jeez, that guy, every game he played, I'm like, what? How does this man do this? Max Crosby reminds me of Jared Allen.
You know what's crazy about Max Crosby, too, is that he was a 4th-round pick and is just broken out into a star. And did you see the interview where he talked about he wanted to be a Lion? He went to Eastern Michigan, was a Lions fan, and he will never forgive them for passing on him.
Is that why his name always, the past 2 years during the trade deadline, his name is always there for the Lions to get?
Yep.
Max Crosby. So that must be part of it.
He wanted to play for him. Maybe he still will one day.
Hey, I'll be all in on that for sure.
Bills, Bengals. Bengals got the win. Again, this was a lot like the Chiefs Dolphins game. Just not overly exciting, to be quite honest. I was really hoping for more out of these two teams.
32 total points? 42 total points?
42.
If the over-under was 40, I would have picked the over. And I would have got it by 2 points, but I'm just saying, like, I would have expected this to have been a 50-point game between those two.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
It's,
yeah, that's
24 to 18 isn't low scoring, but for these two teams, it felt pretty low scoring.
Yeah, these two offenses, I again, looking at this slate when it was like, man, Chiefs, Dolphins in the morning, and then Cowboys, Eagles, then Bills, Bengals, and the most exciting game of the day was Buccaneers, Texans. Did not see that coming.
They just stole the show.
And then Chargers, Jets, Monday night. Chargers got the pretty dominant win. No surprise there. I mean, the Chargers themselves still didn't look great. Their defense looked amazing, but
which is hilarious because their defensive ranks are not great for a team with Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Tuipulotu, like all the people they have on their defense.
Yeah. Well, they had 8 sacks in this game.
By the way, when I saw this name, this is not football related. I saw that someone had a sack and their name was Morgan Fox. I was distracted. I was like, when did Megan Fox start playing for the Chargers? Because I completely read it wrong. I'm like, half a sack for Megan Fox. Damn, the Jets suck.
Megan Fox. It's LA. They just let anybody get on the field and sack people.
They're like, oh, you're at the game? Get on in there.
All right. Well, that was week 9. Let's dive into our week 10 preview. Got our Thursday night foreplay for tomorrow night's game.
Let me just say,
I have nearly any options.
Let me just put this out there. I have a 10% belief that this will win. 10%. That's where I'm at. Not to mention, this is how bad the options were on FanDuel on a Wednesday night for their Thursday night game. There were options for how many yards Khalil Herbert would get.
I didn't see that.
Oh, if you went, it wasn't on like the the alternate rushing.
Oh, it wasn't on the alt line.
It was on the just on the regular line for rushing yards, and Khalil Herbert was there. You could have bet the under on Khalil Herbert's yards. I just realized this. That's an instant win. Why didn't I do that?
Is he not healthy?
He's on the IR.
I thought they brought him back. He's listed as questionable.
Oh, okay.
Probably means he's not playing.
Yeah, I was going to say, the fantasy football still lists him on the IR.
I'm gonna go check to see if that's still there and place a bet.
Yeah, there's a good chance you're gonna win some money there.
Yeah. Well, I went with. I feel like mine are pretty easy, but I'll probably still lose anyways. Chuba Hubbard, 25 plus rushing yards. Cole Kmet over 3.5 receptions. That's probably the one I'll lose. Under 49.5. There's no way these two teams are scoring 7 touchdowns.
No, and I believe Adam that as Thielen, well.
50 plus receiving yards.
Okay, so we both are on the Thielen train because he seems to be doing just fine, thriving on a terrible team. I have Thielen over 40 plus reception yards. I have DJ Moore with over 4.5 receptions because for whatever reason that guy just gets thrown to 500 times a game. I picked Carolina for their +3. That's sometimes spreads really fuck me up. This means the Bears can win as long as Carolina's within 3, right?
No. Carolina has to win by more than 3 points.
Okay, that's what it is. All right. Well, either way, I still, because that number is so low, it doesn't affect me that I picked wrong there. But I figured Carolina is going to win this game, so I went with their spread just to give myself some kind of room there. And then
you said Carolina -3, but you wrote +3.
The app had Carolina +3.
So is that what you bet? Carolina +3?
Yes.
So then, yes, the Bears can win, but as long as they don't win by more than 3.
Yeah, okay, that's
If the
what I
Bears
thought.
win by 4 points, you'll lose.
Yeah, well, I don't foresee these teams scoring a lot either. You put 49.5 for your spread. I'd pick the 38.5. So
Yeah, I always like to bump up the spread past whatever they have it set at because, they want us to bet their over-under. So I'm like, well, I'll just go way over, even though I get worse odds if I put it in a parlay. Doesn't matter to me.
I don't know.
By the way, the rushing yards, the only Bear listed right now is Tyson Bagent. They have none of their running backs listed.
Really? Let me go back in there and look because
They have Bryce Young at 9.5. I should bet that over. He'll run for more than 9.5 yards.
Really? What is the average game? Just don't know if he's a runner. I really, honestly, this will be the first good look I've gotten at Bryce Young.
It's the Bears defense, though.
True. True.
Yeah.
All right, let me find this game so I can find where I was looking. So if I go over to rushing props. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's not even there anymore. He was there earlier. They must have realized their mistake.
Yeah, they probably fixed it when
I should have bet it then.
Yeah. Damn. That would have been easy money.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
All right. Well, that'll be
talk about our
interesting
picks
game
from
to watch.
Talk about our picks from last week. I'm gonna listen because I'm gonna like what you have to say, but I'm gonna go get another drink. Be right back.
Yes, last week was a good week. You went 12-3. I went 10-4. I did not get my bonus because I had it on the Falcons, who had a heartbreaking loss thanks to Josh Dobbs, but that's okay. So for the season, you are back to being up by half a game. You are 90 wins to 51 losses. I'm 90 wins to 52 losses. So that's very close halfway through the season. Very close race. And I like that you're back up because now you have to go first again. Ha ha ha. So we'll see how that pans out. First game up.
It's funny because, I felt like when I was behind, getting to pick second was a massive bonus for me, but it took you 8 weeks to catch up.
It is a nice bonus picking second, though.
Yeah. Well, I'll intro the games, and you can tell me what your picks are, because
all in all, 12-3. That's just a good all-around record. Like if you would have bet $1 on the money line of every one of your picks,
I'd have been ahead, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go. Oh, I picked first. That means you intro the game.
Yeah, you pick first. So Panthers at Bears. Bears favored by 3.
I'm picking the Panthers.
Okay.
I picked them for the spread. I would have bet the money line, but the spread was better odds, so I took the spread.
Yep, I'm also picking the Panthers. This is an opportunity to be different, but that would be stupid because here's what's gonna happen because it's Occam's razor, the most or Murphy's law. The worst outcome is the most likely outcome. If the Panthers beat the Bears, it worsens the Panthers' number 2 draft pick, and that would suck for Chicago. So, Chicago needs to beat Carolina to keep Carolina's pick high. So, of course, Carolina's going to win, and then, a team like the Giants or something can leapfrog them. So, that's just, in my opinion, the most likely outcome. I didn't bet the Panthers to win in my parlay because, you never know. But,
well, there's good news if the Panthers win for later on for the Cardinals-Falcons as far as my picks go. So there's that.
Okay. The other thing too is this is the Panthers' first time on national TV, I believe, with Bryce Young. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Young goes off against the Bears defense and everyone's like, "Oh, see, that's why he was number 1."
Yeah. We will see.
All right. Colts at Patriots. Colts by 1.5.
What a weird. These games, man.
It's
First
a weird
off,
week, man.
What a crappy Thursday night game. We've had some banger Thursday night games this season. And then this is the first real Like last week was kind of a dud, but it was actually fun to watch. Panthers-Bears is a terrible
This
game
was
for Thursday
supposed to
night.
be Justin Fields versus Bryce Young, DJ Moore versus his old team. There's supposed to be a lot of intrigue to it, but it didn't work out that way. No, you don't even get Justin Fields. So
No, and then you get a game with a 1.5 spread in the Colts versus the Patriots.
Yeah. This is another Germany game, I believe, Sunday morning.
I was going to say Germany got spoiled last week, but that game wasn't great. But at least it was two good teams. Now they're getting the Colts Patriots. I don't even know who I want in this game. There's no true home team.
No.
I'll take Gardner Minshew. And
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor and Josh Downs, if he's healthy. Michael Pittman. I like that team better than the Patriots.
All right, going with the Colts. I'm going to pick the Patriots for now, just to give us a difference. Depending on how the rest of the picks go out, I might switch that. But that's a game where I honestly could flip a coin. I don't know or care who's going to win that game.
As far as the coin flip goes, if it was in New England, I would give the edge to New England. But the fact that if that's the Germany game, and it's not actually a home game for the Patriots, then it's up in the air, right? And I think the Colts have a better team. So
yeah, I believe the Colts probably will win, but if it gives me a chance at a different pick than you in a game that honestly,
no, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I would probably have picked the opposite of you in this one too.
Yeah, just for the hell of it. 49ers at Jaguars. 49ers favored by 3.
You know, I really want to pick the Jaguars, but despite the Jaguars being 6-2, I don't think they're a 6-2 team from what I've watched. Not to mention the 49ers coming off a bye and 3 losses straight. I got to go with the 49ers. After a bye, resting up, coming back mad after 3 straight losses, I got to think the 49ers are going to win that game.
Yeah, I believe Debo's going to be back. They've got McCaffrey, Ayuk, everybody's healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars win it. If the Jaguars play up to their level of talent, they could win this game. But sometimes they don't do that. And like you said, the 49ers coming off a bye, yeah, I'm going to pick the 49ers. Saints at Vikings. Saints by 2.5.
This is another one. Geez, these there are a lot of games this week where it's like flip a coin.
Yeah, there are a lot of weird matchups, close games that honestly could go either way.
I'm going to go with the Vikings. And I'm going to go with the Vikings because A, they're at home. B, because Dobbs, with no practice, was able to beat the who was that? The Falcons?
Falcons.
Yeah, and the Saints, I'm just not a big Saints believer.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think the Vikings know they're fighting for their playoff lives. So they're just going to keep it going. Not to mention, you know what? As far as the Vikings being where they are now after what they were to start the season, my Vikings wild card. No, I didn't pick them as a wild card. I picked the Lions as a wild card just because I'm superstitious. My Vikings playoff pick isn't looking too terrible now.
Yeah, I mean they're the 7 seed right now, and hey, I'd rather you be wrong about them winning the division anyways. So
me too. But I am scared of this team. Even after when Cousins went down, I wasn't scared of them. They got Dobbs, and now I'm back to being like, okay, well, Dobbs is a competent quarterback, and even if he's not the best passer, having Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson when he comes back, the wide Hawkinson, he's got a good team around him.
Yeah.
So
They do. The Saints are favored by 2.5, but this feels a lot closer in my mind. But I am going to go with the Saints again to be different, and we'll see how the rest of the picks play out. But
yeah,
honestly,
the Dobbs
even
Cinderella
line
story
2.5
could end very quickly. I mean, it did after Dobbs beat the Cowboys with the Cardinals. So
yeah, it could be up and down. Who knows? And the Saints are up and down too. Like that's what I mean. Like this is the 2.5 seems too high to me. Like this is another one where it's just like I don't know. Either one of these teams could win.
Yep.
Titans at Buccaneers. Buccaneers by 1.5.
I don't think this is. I think this is one-sided. I think it's definitely the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm.
The game that was just played against the Texans, unless they are just completely deflated after that loss, or if they're as hungry as they should be after playing that well and losing, to come in here against the Titans, where they're only favored by 1.5, they should absolutely demolish the Titans, in my opinion. I don't think Will Levis is their future quarterback. They might, but I don't think one game where he threw 3 touchdowns to a singular receiver with not a lot of yards is enough to say Will Levis is the next savior of the Titans. I think that the Buccaneers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody was quick to jump on the Levis train after that first start, but then he played 4 days later and didn't look as good against the Steelers. So definitely come back down to earth. I'm also picking the Buccaneers. I think they should be, like you said, after last week, they should be hungry for a win.
Mm-hmm.
Browns at Ravens. Ravens by 6.
And this is a 6-point differential in a game where I would think this would be close.
Yeah.
Because that Browns
The
defense
Ravens
is
just blew up
crazy
the
good.
Seahawks.
I'll take the Ravens with the Browns to cover the spread.
Yeah. I agree. I already bet the Browns to cover this spread. I think the Ravens do win, but this game is going to be a lot closer than that. But everyone's just reacting to, the Ravens blew out the Seahawks. They're so good. It's like, no, the Seahawks
Yeah,
just
well,
aren't that
everyone
good,
did
guys.
the same exact thing the next week after they blew out the Lions, and then they were playing the Cardinals. And then look what the Cardinals with an average defense did to the Ravens. Now you got the Browns with the best defense in the NFL against the Ravens. I could very much see this game being a Browns win. But I got to pick the Ravens simply because they're rolling right now.
If it was at home with the Browns, I could probably see the Browns winning. I think this probably would be a very close game, but I still got to give it to the Ravens. But yeah, -6 is just, that's a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Texans at Bengals. Bengals by 6.5.
I might be being emotional here, but I'm going to pick the Texans.
Oh, okay. All right. It's definitely another one where I think the 6.5 spread gets covered.
Yeah, that's definitely a close one for a team that just played one of the best games of the season.
Yeah. And what's funny is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both banged up. If one or both don't play, this could get could definitely see the Texans winning it. Gosh.
And if I look at team defense, I don't think that the Cincinnati defense is rated that highly.
I don't believe so. Let's see. I've got the player defense up. I'll look at team defense.
They're right in the middle. They have given up 364 yards per game, which is actually...
That's actually near the bottom.
Near the bottom.
Yeah.
So, like, they give up a lot of yards. as a defense. Their offense can help make up for it, but the Cincinnati defense is not great. And obviously right now the Texans offense is rolling. So I'm taking Texas. Well, sorry,
Okay.
Houston. The
Houston,
Texans.
Yeah, it's that's a tough one. I like the upset pick. Texans are riding the emotions.
They got to win this game to stay
I'll go
above
with the
500. So for a team that is thinking about maybe making the playoffs this year, which would be really fun to watch in the playoffs, they got to win this game.
That'd be really exciting for the Texans to make the playoffs in Stroud's first year. That would be pretty cool. I am going to go with the Bengals just because, again, I want to be a little different. And if the Bengals do have all their offensive weapons, this could be a fun shootout. And the Bengals are home, so that gives
understandable.
Us 3 different right now. All right, that's good.
You going to keep the Patriots pick now that you have 2 other different ones?
For now, I will. 3 different is a good number to have because that's not. If I'm wrong on all of them, I don't get too far down. If I do like 5 different, I'm wrong on all of them, then that's like massive. So
that's like
we'll see
pushing
what
all your chips on the table.
Yeah, I'm just going all in, everything different in 1 week. Let's see what happens. But Packers at Steelers. Steelers favored by 3.
Packers, Steelers favored by. I'll take the Steelers. I think the Packers are bad. And I think Najee Harris has finally figured out how to rush the ball and get it into the end zone.
I hope he keeps it up.
What's his face? Deontay Johnson is finally showing up for the Steelers. George Pickens, if he could catch a ball inbounds, amazingly like he has been out of bounds, they'd be doing just fine. So,
yeah, the Steelers really, especially at home. Tomlin's such a good coach. I just don't. The Packers are terrible.
Yeah,
they can beat the Rams all they want. They're not going to beat an actual good team.
Does this mean that the
Falcons at Cardinals? Falcons by 1.5.
Cardinals. Oh, I already hinted at this. I'm picking the Cardinals in this game.
Oh, yeah, so am I.
I was to say, Cardinals, Kyler Murray coming back, get that team excited. They just got embarrassed last week. Like, this team is hungry. I don't even think it matters if James Conner's back. I mean, it does matter, but I think even if he's out, I still think they win this game. But if he's back, that's just even more fuel to that fire. I think the Cardinals win this game, and Kyler Murray does very well.
He really should. It's the Falcons, and they're bad. Arthur Smith is terrible, and if Kyler Murray, it's his first game back, it's at home, it's against a bad team. If the Cardinals don't win this game, then I would ask, what is the point of Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray? Like, this is, you have to win this game.
So I work, going off this next game, I work this Saturday night, which usually makes Sundays the worst for watching football for me, because after working 12 hours and then sleeping for 4 to wake up and watch football is always terrible for me. The fact that I just realized right now that the Lions are playing the late game is so perfect for me.
Oh, yeah. The Lions, Commanders, and Cardinals are all in the afternoon, so you can follow along all 3.
I can enjoy my 3 favorite teams to follow in one afternoon. It would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that game, Lions at Chargers, Lions by 3.
I have given up on the superstition thing in recent weeks and just gone with my gut. And I'm going to go with my gut again and say the Lions win.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. I believe so. Coming off a bye, the Chargers are not that impressive. And I think the Lions, Dan Campbell's going to have that team fired up, go into LA, beat a talented team, but I think the Lions get that win.
if you beat the Chargers, who are a decent team, your next 5 games: Chicago twice, Green Bay, New Orleans, and Denver.
Yep.
Beat the Chargers, then go get 5 more wins.
And then Minnesota on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to stretch until the week 17 against Dallas that they should win all of those games.
Wait a minute. That can't be the... Okay, that they are at home for that game. I love that we're playing the Packers on... I love when we play the Packers on Thanksgiving.
That's going to be such a fun game.
I probably said this last year, but for everyone that's listening, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. All the good food you could ever want, and every Thanksgiving I get to watch the Lions. So, and then when it's a Packers game on Thanksgiving, that just makes it even better. It hasn't been great in the past, but this year it'll be great. So I'm looking forward to that. That's awesome.
Heck yeah. All right, Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys by 16 and a half.
16 and a half. Holy smokes, they think the Cowboys are mad about the Eagles, don't they?
Well, they're playing against Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, let's go with the Cowboys.
You think?
Let's take
Yeah,
the
I'll take the
easy
Cowboys
points
too.
here.
Yeah. Not a question. Taking the Cowboys. Commanders at Seahawks. Seahawks by 6.
I finally picked your team last week, and it won for me.
It did? Yeah.
Normally it backfires on me, but I'm taking the Seahawks chickens.
Yeah. So am I. Now, again, I could see the Commanders winning this game. Seattle hasn't looked that impressive this season.
I would take the Commanders to cover the spread. I could see that.
Yeah. The crazy thing for the Commanders is that the last 5 games, the offense, especially Sam Howell, has been near the top of the NFL in yards, touchdowns, everything. So we can score points. It's just, can we keep Seattle from scoring points? That's the question.
I'm sorry. This is... No, never mind. Go ahead. I'll say this after you finish your point. I'm very bad at interrupting you, co-host.
That's okay. I was at the end of my thought anyways.
Okay, I'm glad. Because I honestly, I do it not thinking, and then I feel bad. But I have 2 windows up on my main screen here. And usually I have the notes on one side, and then I have ESPN, NFL.com, Pro Football Focus on the right side. Randomly, I'm on the Detroit Lions ESPN page. Oh, great. I fucking fucked up my camera. I have ESPN on my right window. On the Lions page, and then there's a video waiting to be played that says Stephen A. and Jeff Saturday debate whether Dak is NFC's top QB. Dak? I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
I'm confused. I am confused.
I mean, Jalen Hurts?
There's plenty of other better quarterbacks than Dak Prescott. What is this? Is that a clickbait title? What are we doing here?
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But that's the reactionaryism of the media, where Dak has a good game against the Philly, and it's like, oh, Dak's amazing. It's like, so we should just forget about all
the rest
other
of the entire season and the stats for people like Jared Goff? Jalen Hurts? Like, what? I'm sorry.
It's like Dak against the Giants week 1, 143 yards, no touchdowns. Against the Cardinals, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
Let me just throw
Against
this
the
out
49ers,
here.
153 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions.
Let me
like
just
best quarterback in the NFC.
Throw this out there. And I know the touchdown to interception ratio, not quite as good. Sam Howell is better than Dak Prescott. Statistically.
He has some better stats. Yes, he does have some better stats. Yes.
So,
yeah. And
I'm just saying,
that's what I mean is like
CJ Stroud exists.
Well, he's not in the NFC though.
Texans aren't NFC, are they?
Yeah.
Either way, just a goofy article.
Yeah. Well, and that's one. It's the Cowboys, and they have to talk about Dallas because of all the fans, and it's just.
And two,
everybody wants to jump all on Dak.
Everything that exists in 2023 is click this because it's outrageous.
Yep.
Click
this for the algorithm, please.
I did not mean to throw us so far off topic, but I just read that and be like, a top 5 quarterback? I will agree with that for sure. The top quarterback in the NFC? His team's not even the top NFC team.
I'm hoping, I'm assuming you didn't watch the video, but I'm hoping the video is just them saying, no, he's not, over and over again.
Right.
Like, that's what we need to start doing. Clickbait with the article, and then the video is 3 seconds of just answering the question.
It is Stephen
Dak Prescott the best quarterback in the NFC?
It is done. Stephen A. Smith who loves to dog on the Cowboys. So
I do, and I love what he does. That's my favorite thing.
I could just be. It is definitely a clickbait title.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, it is.
I'm on beer 5, and I'm distracted easily.
That's okay. Jets Raiders. Jets favored by 1.
That must be the Aiden O'Connell factor. I am picking the Raiders because the Raiders are at home, and the Raiders have played very well for Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, I'm picking the Raiders too. I can't believe they're not favored in this one. Like, the Jets looked like ass against the Chargers on Monday night, and the Raiders looked like a real team finally. Like, it's at home. It's Sunday night.
Those odds have to change before the start of the game, I would think.
Well, I hope they do, because I bet the Raiders money line plus money already. So if they change, that's fine by me.
Totally okay with it.
And last one, Monday night, Broncos at Bills. Bills by 7.5.
Oh, by the way, I'm looking at the Jets line, and it's already moved down to 0.5. So it's already
because I looked before the podcast and it was -1
on ESPN. It's listed as 0.5, so it's already.
Oh, okay.
It might be a different
I looked
sports
on
book. I don't know.
FanDuel, and it was -1. So yeah, I'm sure the Raiders will be favored by the time that game starts.
I have to pick up Russell Wilson to start him because Mahomes is on bye in my other fantasy league. Okay. So I really hope the Broncos don't get blown out by the Bills. But I'm still picking the Bills. Though I don't think the Bills will blow out the Broncos because the Bills don't know what they are. And the Bills cannot figure out whether they want to be good or bad from week to week. Now they're playing a bad team. Are they going to play down to the bad team or play up to their potential? Who knows? Would you bet?
I agree.
The question is, would you bet the Broncos to cover the spread? It's a touchdown.
Yes. Well, it's 7.5. I would bet it, and I did bet the Broncos to cover it because even if the Bills win by 7, you still win the bet. So exactly. So I bet the Broncos to cover that because it's like, yeah, they'll lose by a touchdown, but the Bills won't blow them out.
No,
that's just the Bills, or they will, and the Bills will look like the playoff team that they should be, and they'll win 30-3. I don't know. I'm picking the Bills though. There's no way the Broncos win this game. The Broncos are so meh. I just like, even though the Bills haven't looked great, it's still Josh Allen. Yeah. Definitely taking the Bills. All right, so that gives us 1, 2, 3 differences. All right, that's good. I'm happy with 3.
I am going to take there was a 3-point difference one that I want to take here.
I'm taking the Lions. I'm just telling you right now.
I'm going to take... God, which one was it? You're taking the Lions. So if I win that one, you gain 1. But if I take the Texans, I gain 2 and you lose 1. I'm going to take the Texans as my bonus.
Okay. All right. I like it. Hey, I mean, that's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to look forward to that one.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are our picks for week 10. Now let's dive into our fantasy sleepers for last week, which we completely knocked out of the park.
Tell them. I will be back in 2 seconds.
8 picks, my 4 and your 4, all finished higher than they were ranked. Some by a little bit, some by a lot of it. Starting with quarterback, Dan picked Derek Carr. He was the 18th ranked quarterback for Chicago. He finished 12th. I picked Mac Jones against Washington. He was 21st ranked and finished 16th. Running backs, Dan had Kareem Hunt. He was ranked 34th against Arizona and finished 24th. I picked Jerome Ford against Arizona, so we both had both Cleveland backs, and they both did well. Jerome Ford was ranked 22nd, finished 17th. Wide receivers, Dan had Jacoby Myers. He was 31st ranked versus the Giants, finished 20th. I had Rashee Rice. He was 40th ranked versus Miami and finished 32nd. He caught a touchdown right away and then did nothing the rest of the game. A little disappointing. But tight ends is where we completely killed it. Dan had Cade Otton. He was ranked 16th at Houston. He finished tight end 3. I had Taysom Hill, 19th ranked tight end versus Chicago, and he finished 5th at tight end. So both of us picking top 5 tight ends last week, which is the hardest position to pick. So pats on the back all around. That brings our season totals. Dan, 15 wins, 9 losses, 4 break-evens. 13 wins for me, 11 losses, 8 break-evens. So not too shabby. This week, I'll start us off, and it's funny. We talked about it earlier. I'm going with Bryce Young. I think Chicago's defense is terrible. Bryce Young, national spotlight. It fits the NFL's narrative for Bryce Young to have a big game tomorrow night against Chicago in prime time. So everybody can be like, oh, that's why he went number 1.
A Thursday night.
Through the ground.
A Thursday night to decide the tone on your entire fantasy picks.
Yeah, well, and there's no reason to watch that game. So the NFL's like, we need Bryce Young to go off. We need
Someone
people to want to watch
has
this
to
game.
do something in this game.
Yeah. Plus, he's ranked 23rd. And I'm like, the dude should run for 50, 60 yards. That'll at least get him in the top 20.
I want a Jonathan Mingo breakout game. That's what I want to watch. When I'm watching the actual game, I just want to see Jonathan Mingo break out.
Looking for Mingo.
Yeah.
I almost bet his over because, I mean, it wasn't very high, but I just thought to myself, I just don't trust the second receiver.
I literally don't
Thielen.
trust anyone on either of these teams.
Yeah.
Like, my 4-play picks, I'm like, okay, DJ Moore is about the only one I think I can trust. Thielen, he's old, but he's been okay lately. Maybe I can get that 40 yards. It wouldn't allow me to pick the 25-plus yard on him, which is what I would have. So, yeah.
I almost went 40, but I saw the odds for another 10 yards, and I'm like, I'll just go another 10 yards. You know what's going to happen, though, is DJ Moore is going to catch like 4 passes for you.
I mean, that's every Thursday night. That's why that 10% belief that I'll win that one. My quarterback. My quarterback for week 10 is the return of Kyler Murray. I'm taking Kyler Murray, who's the 15th ranked quarterback against Atlanta. Like we talked about, Trey McBride's breaking out, and even Clayton Tune, of all the, monopoly of yards that Clayton Tune threw for, Trey McBride still managed to get a good chunk of them. And then on top of that, they still have Hollywood Brown, who is buddies with Kyler Murray, and when Kyler Murray wasn't injured, was throwing the ball to Hollywood like crazy for good yardage. I feel like if Connor comes back, that takes a lot away from or adds to the play action for Kyler Murray. So if we see Kyler Murray under center for the first time multiple times in a game ever since it's not Cliff Kingsbury, it'll be interesting to see what Kyler Murray does. I'm just really... The Cardinals, let's say, nobody listening to this podcast, if you're not from Arizona, gives a flying crap about this probably, unless you have him in fantasy football. The Cardinals 1,000% needed something this week to get people excited for Cardinals football, because after a game where they had 58 yards of offense, Kyler Murray coming back is what the Cardinals needed this week. And I feel like I've already bet that the Cardinals will win. I'm betting now that the Kyler Murray will have a good game, and I'm really excited to see it. And I would just like to point out that before the season started, you didn't think Kyler was going to play a game.
I didn't think he'd be able to come back from his injury this fast. So I'm curious to see if he's how much he scrambles or runs on Sunday, but I think he
Well,
I think they're going to smash the Falcons.
Clayton, let me go back and look real quick. Clayton Tune was sacked an ass ton last week.
8 times, I think.
He was sacked 7 times.
7 times.
On a makeshift line. And DJ Humphries and their first round pick from this year are listed to probably be hurt for this game. So he might be running a lot. But running gets you fantasy yards. So there you go.
Well, luckily there's no Myles Garrett this time, though. So might not be too bad. But all right, running backs. I'm doubling down on tomorrow night's game. I'm going Chuba Hubbard against the Bears. He is ranked 29th against the Bears' terrible run defense. Whether he does it through check downs or actually running, I think he's going to score more than that.
I don't want to spoil your picks here, but I would just like to point out that they're all against your teams. So
that was on purpose.
That makes me laugh.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
I mean,
all of my teams have bad defenses.
This
what
next
do you want?
This next pick, I mean, you think he's just an average fill in the blank running back, but my running back for this week is Tyler Algier, who continues every week to steal all the touches from Bijan Robinson. I think he's the ranked 31st running back against Arizona, and I think Tyler Algier is going to go off.
Okay. I mean, he's ranked pretty low, so
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Considering what he's doing week to week.
Yeah. Get a lot of touches.
Yes. So even if we throw out the fact of what we think about the person, touches normally mean points. So why are you ranked that low?
Well, I think that, because the fantasy, they still, they continually rank Bijan Robinson high because
despite
in their minds,
that week to week, they're they can't figure out how to use them.
Yeah. They just keep thinking like maybe eventually they'll, figure out to use him. And then they don't. But
yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. So, Cardinals do have bad defense. So, wide receivers, I'm going with Jackson Smith and Jigba against Washington. He is ranked 44th. And the reason I picked him, 1, our bad pass defense, and 2, he's ranked so low. If he catches a touchdown, which...
If you're just going for a low-ranked, you want an easy win, you should have picked Bobo.
It's funny.
That's an easy fantasy pick win.
Yeah, and he probably will be the one to catch a big play against us. Someone's going to. Like either it's Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Someone's going to catch like a 60-yard touchdown against us. I just went with the rookie.
I feel if Bobo's a rookie, but if Bobo if Bobo catches a 50-yard catch, and that's all he does in the game, where he will be ranked versus where he winds up, that's a win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's ranked out of the top 50 probably.
And then and Seattle loves them some Bobo.
I see. Everybody loves the Bobo.
I don't know if it's the name or just the story.
I think partly it's the name. It's like Puka Nakua. Everybody jumped on the bandwagon right away because the name. And then with Bobo,
Puka Nakua is
mostly
a fucking
the name.
Awesome name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So is
Bobo.
Pacific Islander names they're so cool. I
Tuli
don't know.
Tagovailoa is one of my favorite names. It just rolls off the tongue.
Tuliaputu or Puti?
Tuliaputu, Tagovailoa.
Yeah, there's so many cool
They're so
Pacific
rhythmic
Islander
and musical.
names, right?
Yeah.
God, remember when Hawaii was good at college football? And you always
Brian,
get
man.
dude, and they just had obviously they're in the Pacific, so they always had the Pacific Islander players on their teams that always went to the NFL.
Funny? This is a tangent, but I almost had a top 5 that was 5 Commanders or Lions that only we loved, which was basically like players that were on our teams that we loved but never got recognized because it's like they either didn't do anything or whatever. And Colt Brennan was my number 1.
Can I? All right, if I
We'll
not
save
going
the top
into,
5.
if you can you guess what my number 1 would be?
Jason Hansen.
No,
No? Oh, okay.
It's a quarterback who got his job stolen by Matthew Stafford. I believe it was Matthew Stafford.
Oh.
Maybe it was Dante Culpepper.
I can't remember the name.
Mike McMahon.
See,
One of
there
my
you go.
favorite Lions ever. Anyways,
And no one else besides diehard Lions fans would even know.
if
who you were talking
anyone were to mention the name Mike McMahon to anyone outside of Detroit, no one would know who the fuck that is. But Mike McMahon, I loved Mike McMahon.
all right. Who's your wide receiver?
My wide receiver is Romeo Doubs, who's ranked 48th against Pittsburgh. And Romeo Doubs always does things for the...
He's their number 1 receiver in Green Bay.
He's their 3rd ranked fantasy receiver. That's the craziest part. Christian Watson's number 1. Number 2 is the other rookie last year.
Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed might even be higher than him. But I'm like, Romeo Doubs is way the hell down here? Okay.
Yeah.
Easy pick.
I know. I don't understand the Christian Watson, like, everybody. It's like Bijan Robinson. They keep projecting him to do something, but he never does.
Yeah.
All right, and tight ends. I'm going with Kyle Pitts. He's ranked 14th at Arizona. Arizona's bad.
I laugh, but I picked a Falcon against Arizona, so it only makes sense. I picked Juwan Johnson, Saints Saints tight end, 21st ranked tight end at Minnesota. Juwan Johnson missed some games in his last 2 games back. He's gotten some good targets and some good yards. I feel like in the game where they're going to need him, he's going to get some more good yards. So,
Yep, I like it. I agree.
So
All
that,
right. Well, there you go.
excuse me, that will do it for week 10. Same deal, discord.me/Coffin Corner. Go check that out. Come join our Discord. That's where we let everyone know when we're going live. It's when we chat about football with you guys. When you guys are in there wanting to chat, that is a fun place to be. So go check that out. You can find us on Twitter/X at Coffin Corners. You can find us on TikTok at Coffin Corner Podcast. I actually had some ideas for our TikTok. Going forward, I need to talk to you about. So you remind me to ask you about that today, tomorrow, whenever. But I got some ideas for that. And then, so keep an eye on that TikTok, Coffin Corner Podcast. Finally, if you're listening to this podcast, you can find us live streaming the recording every Wednesday night at youtube.com/@Coffin Corner. You can find us there. And if you are watching this or watching the replay of this on YouTube, you can find the audio podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Coffin Corner Podcast and you will find us. Rich, do you have anything to say to the people before we let them go for this episode?
Nope, you covered every base.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thank you for hanging out for episode 17. We will be back next week for episode 18, covering week 11 and recapping week 10. Until then, you have a great week, and I hope that your favorite team wins, unless they're playing mine. Until then, Have a great week. Adios, amigos.